My cousin Spencer called me one day during an average day in the summer, asking if I'd like to shoot fireworks with him and a few other people in a secret place his girlfriend knew about. It was the day before the 4th of July, so I'd already purchased quite a bit of fireworks already, and so I agreed to go with them. Him and his little brother came and picked me up, and we followed his girlfriend and her little sister in their car to this secret spot. We must have drove about 45 minutes, passing by beautiful lakes and heavily wooded areas. We finally turned into a parking lot of some type of park in the woods. It was far from a secret spot. The park had bikers, fishermen, and joggers all around it. But that was when we arrived, when the sun hadn't set yet. When the sun finally began to set was exactly when I started to feel uneasy. The place seemed pretty secluded, and the woods have always creeped me out. Our friend Patrick was going to be late because he wouldn't get off work till about 8:30, so we had a bit of time to kill. We shot a few of the smaller fireworks to kill us some time, and then Spencer's girlfriend, Kelly, suggested that we explore the trails to kill time. That sounded like a terrible idea to me, mainly because I don't like hiking, and I had a pair of white Air Jordans on. But Spencer, who's a big simp, convinced me to go along with him. We trekked through the rough terrain of the forest, following poorly made trails for what seemed to be forever. I was the caboose of the party, just following along, observing the wildlife, and suddenly, I heard footsteps behind me. I kept looking over my shoulder, expecting to see someone or something, but there was nothing. The footsteps stopped every single time I looked back. I eventually wrote it off as probably an animal or something, and kept following along. The trail led us to a wooden bridge that brought us back to our cars. We noticed it was 9 p.m. and Patrick still wasn't there. We called him, and he told us he was still about 25 minutes out, which annoyed everybody. Spencer insisted that we start without him, but Kelly refused the notion. We ultimately embraced his girlfriend's will, and we all waited for Patrick to show up. But when 20 minutes had passed, and no sign of Patrick, Spencer decided we had enough, and said, "Screw this, we're doing this now." So he took the fireworks and began heading towards the secret spot. Kelly and her sister didn't follow us, and Kelly had a visibly angry expression on her face. When we finally got there, Spencer got a text from Kelly saying that she was leaving and to have fun. Visibly frustrated, Spencer called Kelly's sister since she kept ignoring his calls, and after a long discussion, he convinced him to finally turn around and come back to join us. Around the same time, Patrick texted us that he had just arrived, so Spencer had to walk back to the parking lot and bring him towards us. With Spencer gone, it was just me and his gay little brother Colin. I told him that we could probably shoot a few more fireworks while we waited, and so we did. A little time goes by, and while I'm looking through the fireworks we brought, Colin tugs on my jacket and tells me he thinks he heard something move around in the tall grass. I told him it was probably just an animal, but he was still a little spooked, so I decided to check it out to make him feel better about it. When I finally got over there, I saw something that kind of freaked me out. There was a patch of grass that looked like someone had just been laying in. It had a clear sight of me and Colin. No way, I told myself. No one was here. This place had plenty of people earlier. Someone probably made it a while back. I went back to Colin, and I didn't want to freak him out, so I just told him it was just an animal. That was enough to calm his nerves. Minutes passed when suddenly Patrick and Kelly's little sister came down to meet us. Emily said they just got back when Patrick got there, and that Spencer's with Kelly right now, trying to talk out their issues. The four of us shot fireworks for a bit, till Spencer came down to join us. He explained that Kelly's still a little mad, and that she had needed some time alone. Time passed, when suddenly, Emily received a text from Kelly. Kelly said she was freaking out because she heard a man's voice, which was enough for Spencer and Patrick to race towards the cars. Patrick is a really weird guy, so he keeps knives and swords in his car. They use those to arm themselves. Colin, Emily, and I gathered the fireworks and made our way back to the cars. When we finally got there, Spencer and Patrick were still looking around for Kelly. Patrick saw us and gave us some of his weapons he kept in his car. Minutes had passed when we finally found Kelly, alone at the end of the wooden bridge, crying by herself. Spencer stayed with the girls. The rest of us went and cleared the nearby area to make sure no one was there. We didn't find anything, so we went back to Kelly and the others, where she informed us on what happened to her. She said that she went on a walk to clear her mind because of the argument with Spencer when she heard a man's voice. He uttered the word, "Hey," in the pitch of black. That was enough to send shivers down her spine. She immediately began running, scared for her life, and heard the man begin to laugh like a madman. She turned off her phone light and hid by the side of the bridge and waited. She waited until she could hear the man run past her, still laughing. Then and only then did she text her sister. Emily began to breathe irregularly, a clear sign that she was having some sort of a panic attack. I took control of the situation, told them to relax, and Spencer will stay with them while the rest of us keep looking. The three of us kept walking, following the trail. I told the guys that we were just gonna get out of the girls' sight to make them feel safer. While walking, I heard a branch snap clear as day. It was to the left of me, somewhere in the deep woods, but it was so dark, and my flashlight on my phone wasn't bright enough. The other guys weren't reacting to the snap, so I just thought it was my imagination. We walked for a little bit more until we all decided to turn around. We got back to the bridge, but the girls and Spencer had already gone back to the cars. We then began to walk on the bridge. That's when I started to hear it. The sound of metal scraping on metal. I was too freaked out to even turn around and look. The guys didn't even seem to hear anything. I was just about to brush it off when suddenly Colin said to me, "Hey man, I know this is a little late, but I heard the snap too, man." My heart sank. "What do you mean?" "The branch that broke to the left of us. I heard it break, but I was too scared to say anything, just in case the guy was listening." My mind was racing at this point, and that's when suddenly we all heard it. A loud bang. We all paused for a minute and looked at each other to see if we all heard the same thing. Then we heard it even louder and closer this time. That was enough to send all of us running. We finally got to the cars and we all raced out of there. We all met up at a gas station just a few miles away from there, where we all talked about what we had just experienced. I told them everything, from when we first got there, to hearing footsteps behind me, to the grass that someone was in. We all stood there in shock and disbelief. Shockingly, we all still wanted to finish shooting our fireworks, so we traveled to a new spot. We thought that it would be fine since it was miles away from the other spot. We had a fun time with the loss of our fireworks and didn't get bothered by the man again. I'm grateful for that, but sometimes I just can't help but wonder what would have happened if I ever turned around and saw that man on that bridge.